Got lots of love, love. 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 Got lots of love, love.
Sitting in a 4v3.
Evan from Esports trying to find an angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Sandy's gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Sandy's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Soccer Party's hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick on the Leaky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Sage is to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Lana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio. That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the 8? They get the 8.
We are halfway through the first part of our season already, ladies and gentlemen. The favorites already beginning to stand out in their own right. But for today's matchup, it'll be 2 teams within the EU Diamond Division hoping to make a case for that themselves. We got SCR Academy going up against VA Mystic Coven. And both of these teams so far, obviously it's early in the season, not too much of a reflection, but looking at a 1-1 and 0-2 in this situation. So both teams trying to find themselves a nice quality win here today. And Ray, it's one of those situations where this early on the season, it genuinely can be anybody's games because both these teams have won multiple maps and clearly have shown they have the roster skill to go and win matches.
Yeah, I'd say especially for the side. Which team was 1-1?
The 1-1 team would be SCR Academy.
Okay, so for SCR Academy, it's going to be very important for them today to get a win because when we get into the mid-season playoffs, it's a very small amount of teams that are able to make it. I believe we tend to do 4 for each division. So the fact that Mystic's already 0-2, even if you win the next 2, the likeliness of being able to get in there at 2-2 is pretty low. So for SCR Academy, being able to get a dub this week and next week will almost certainly give them a ticket to those mid-season playoffs. and give you the ability to either earn some map wins or even a match win in your favor.
Yeah, I'd say what the situation things are. I think in general, getting the 3-1 is kind of the line you're looking for if you want to get into that midseason tournament with a good amount of confidence. 2-2, with how many teams are in this, could be genuinely possible. Is it going to happen for a fact? No, but that's something that a couple teams are probably going to be fighting for here next week. But obviously, SRC Academy want to take that win here today. Want to be able to give themselves an opportunity to secure their spot next week. But for VA Mystic, I mean, they're looking for opportunity to just get that first win, and between those two matches, they have taken maps off of multiple teams. They've shown they have the ability to fight back, but it's all about actually punching the ticket and taking a genuine win. But for the time being, Ray, gotta worry about what our bands are going to be like going into the first map, and VA Mystic Coven gonna be picking first and foremost. And I mean, what's the mindset when you go into this? Because you don't exactly have the most information on your opponent before the game has even started.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like some of the more tight-knit groups, like NA Diamond, for example, a lot of the same teams re-entered, so you might have more information there. But if it's not a lot of information, then you kind of go against how you've been scrimming and what compositions you tend to do well against and what you don't. So this ban, given that Ilios is our first map, taking Ana off of the field almost certainly eliminates Winston on this map.
Yeah, so without the Ana, obviously you're not going to run something like Ana Brig. In this situation now, you're probably leaning towards, I would imagine, maybe a DPS ban here. I think at this point, you start to lean something more towards like the Juno Break in this situation. You can come out with quite a few tanks in this kind of situation, though. Without the Ana, it's not like you can't necessarily run certain characters, but we're just going to get rid of the Nanoblade combo in general. Genji going to be the selection for SCR Academy, so Dive. Not looking like the most viable thing in the world here. Could see some teams trying to run it down, like I said, with that Brig Juno. And then the tank as well. I mean, with the way the quote-unquote meta is right now, Ray, I think a lot of tanks will be viable here on Ilios.
So given that we're in Diamond, we can see a lot of variability, just teams running comps that they just feel confident in. You see more likeliness of teams one-tricking certain out there comps. But if we're just going off of what is high meta, I think given the bans we've been given, Hazard is what you're going to see on this map. And you're going to see that with like a Kiri Lucio, with like a Tracer. And then you tend to mix it up with, you know, whatever other DPS on the sides you feel good about. But I think if we're expecting meta, that's what we'll expect on a map like Ilios.
Yeah, I imagine that would be the case, but of course, we do have our rosters here in front of us. SCR Academy going up first and foremost. They are 1-1, and the one loss they have taken was to GTTD, who has had a very successful run thus far. But either way, looking at that out, you got Ordnance Circle and Rig on DPS, Fluffy Kitten over on the tank, and then Sparky Bear and Cooking Bacon on the support lineup. And again, a team that has already proven they can go and win a good match, and of course compete against what some might argue maybe a top 2 team in this division. So obviously a team that has a level of success to them already, and just need this win here today if they want to have some level of confidence of getting to that mid-season tournament.
Man, Cooking Bacon trying to make me hungry. I have not, I mean, I'm an NA just for you guys out there. I have not had lunch yet, so sounding pretty good. Anyway, so let's go ahead for SCR. Roster's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and pull up the roster for the side of the Mythic, VA Mystic. I'm sorry, Mystic, not Mythic. VA Mystic Coven. We got Kektix, Who Am I, Sombert, Shoddy, and Faraday. So again, trying to get a big dub for this week, as you mentioned, 2-2. There's always that possibility of being like that 4th team who makes the midseason playoffs. So I think if you're Mystic, you get a dub here, you keep your hopes alive. But if you end up taking the L here, it's likely you're going to have to just work on getting better for the rest of the season, because midseason is likely out of your control.
Yeah, it's kind of entering that territory, but with the fact that they kind of have won 3 maps within those first 2 games, it doesn't completely take them out in that situation. It does mean you would have to like have a pretty good performance overall, but it's still a situation where you can't really count them out in this situation, especially because looking at our maps for today, remember, since it is the regular season, maps are all pre-selected, so nothing in the terms of loser picks when it comes to maps. So Ilios, gonna start us off. We have Kings Row, Runasape, and if absolutely needed, we'll go over to New Junk City and Shambali. But right, we gotta get this one underway. We're starting over on Well, which I think it's one of those maps which leaves quite a few possibilities open. But we just saw a couple of Echo nades fly by.
Yeah, that we did.
How
I think with a map like Well, Echo tends. This is one of Echo's best, sub map. I mean, this is technically a sub map, but it's like one of the best places where you can play Echo. You have so much free reign in the sky, so much open area to play with. So I definitely think we could continue to see these hazard comps, and that's kind of what I laid out with the Tracer, Lucio, Kiri, and in this case, you go with Echo. Or maybe they tend to go, as I was going to say, with a diva composition. Not sure how I feel about Mystic highlighting the Winston. I'm just if you're not playing on a Brig, Winston is very tough skeptic. So we'll see how that goes for them.
Yeah, I think it could go either way. In this situation, there's no like heavily diveable target in this situation, which is kind of the point of it in the first place. But if you're able to kind of expose the Kiri, get rid of a lot of their cooldowns, they become a very vulnerable target, as we'll see. The TP over, and Ordnance Circle going to go over to the Tracer. So a Tracer one one's going to be taking place, and everyone going to be taking their time in the moment, just setting up for a dive, because if you go in just with a pure blind dive, it's not going to find the most reliable success.
Yeah, you can't say also for Fluffy Kitten being on the Diva, they at least have the possibility of going after the enemy Echo to help out.
Yeah, 100%. His point is already opened up, and it's going to very easily go over to VA Mystic Coven in this situation right now. Fluffy Kitten getting a bit low, but still has the help of their Kiriko, is getting pressured little by little, getting forced into a corner. Eventually, they got to get their way out of here right now. Soft Dive going in. Sparky Bear not standing much of a chance there, and with that DMEC, will cause that first fight to go down the drain. Need to get a melee off. It will eventually come through, so successful first fight, and a couple of staggers at that. So, in terms of a first fight, couldn't ask more out of VA Mystic.
Yeah, I think what was key for VA Mystic was the positioning they played. I think they played I guess I'll call it the kind of cage area. They played it very well, gave themselves the ability to give their Winston, Sombert, some spaces. We now see Fluffy Kitten making the swap over to match the Winston, but also give him area to be able to get healed and get out if needed.
Yeah, now this is where things get a little bit complicated, because this fight is, I mean, essentially already done and over with. Trying to see if you can get everybody back who's still alive, but Who Am I ends up chasing down Ornate Circle there, so unfortunate situation. And now 50% and counting, no ultimates on the board for SRC Academy yet, but Mr. Coven is going to have at least 3 ready for this fight.
Yeah, we're seeing Who Am I a lot in this kill feed, but Kectix on this Echo has been throwing down so much damage and allowing Who Am I to go in there and just absolutely clean up.
Yeah, I'm really liking the fact that they're taking this aggression right now. Maybe not the best rush in the world, but looks like it might be paving off to some extent right now. Trades coming through, but Who Am I? And Somber once again going for the pulse bomb. Unfortunately, bit of an error ball there, so 80% and counting right now. Mystic Coven 4 ultimates, and SRC Academy just hoping to maybe get those super ultimates online.
Yeah, and in the end, you end up getting a trade. Kitsune for as a Sound Barrier now comes out. They're getting aggressive here.
Yeah, I don't hate this at all. It's going to knock around, and now Lucio's put into a place where they probably won't get knocked off, but it is causing a bunch of chaos, and this is what you want. You're fine with this. And in fact, at the end of the day, we might not even have a touch committed at this point. No one even close. So, I mean, for the 0-2 team going in here, I mean, incredible start out of the gate here. A lot of confidence, and what you love to see in Dive, a lot of aggression.
Oh, no doubt. Like I said, I was skeptic with the Kiri Lucio with the Winston, but they played it very well. And that's the thing, is you just can't commit to dives, and it's a little bit harder sometimes to find kills. But a lot of that is negated by how much Kectix was doing on that Echo and Who I Am being able to follow that up. Because without the Ana, you don't have the anti-nades for the Winston to find the kills, and you just have less healing available, so your Winston can't play as aggressive. But with the whole team just going in there, lots of damage, they're able to make that work. As we now see, we're going over to Ruins. Both teams pulling out the Junker Queen. Who I Am, however, going over to the May versus Rig, staying on the Echo.
Yeah, very interesting to go for the queen swaps right now. Should be noted, we didn't know at the beginning, but obviously perk is currently not a factor this week right here. As Ordnance Circle, another distinction of going down early, and unfortunately, This one's just going to fall apart at these teams once again. And this is kind of the problem we're seeing right now with SRC Academy. It feels like they're losing some of the fights before they even have a proper engagement, which it's an equivalent to kind of shooting yourself into the foot.
Yeah, again, Kectix has been the MVP so far. I mean, when you're going to play this Junker Queen with the aggression, especially when you're going against an Echo, you have to be able to put the pressure in the skies while also trying to find early picks, and they did exactly that.
Yeah, definitely going to see right now. Going to go in with that Carnage, getting a bit more damage away right now, but you're looking for an Elim here at Buff the Kitten. Unfortunately, a little too far forward. The team not as willing to go up, and now is the question of how many managed to get back alive. You do manage to trade out Somber, and with a couple more picks, with a 3v3, I mean, they could just get their queen back early and regress.
Yeah, you do trade out. I believe that was a 2v2, so it's a 3v3. So basically, SCR is going to be able to buy some space and push up as their players are getting back faster, but Mystic will be right back and in it. And they have higher ult charge, so Kitsune Rush right around the corner.
Yeah, right around the corner. That copy could be very valuable right there for Rig right now. Going to see whether or not they're going to pull the trigger on it. In fact, won't even get the opportunity because should be seeing a cleanup here, and Sombert getting a nice 2K at the very end by that Carnage. So only 90% on the board, but Ultimate's getting on line for teams. Unfortunately, Coven has that Kitsune Rush, and SC Academy doesn't really have an answer for it.
Just for any of you fans watching out there who don't participate in CGL, just so you guys know, and you're looking at your screen, you're like, where are the perks? We have that turned off for 1 week. We're giving the teams a 1 week adjustment period, but next week we will be live with perks.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see whether or not that'll make a difference for some teams, but for the time being right here, both teams having to run it as they always have. Even with the Kitsune Rush on their side, it's still back and forth right now. We see that the cleanses come through to keep the Junker Queens alive, but both are ready to go through, and with those cleanses gone, it's going to leave the Kiriko in a bit of a messed up area right now, but Ordnance Circle thinks they can pop off and try to take this one back. They've got one looking for a second, flying high in the sky right now as eventually the cleanup is coming through. Faraday does get one. Unfortunately, at this point, it's more of a stalling out game and trying to get to 99. But, Ray, in this situation, Coven more interested in investing more ultimates there, so SOC Academy has a good rotation for the next fight or two.
Yeah, you get yourself into final fight territory for the side of VA Mystic, and they have 2 key ultimates coming online. So they got Blizzard and Overclock. They're facing down Sparky Bear's sound barrier, so you basically got to use one to force it out, or you got to get a fantastic Blizzard and get those supports in and finish it off.
Ooh, that's a very early engagement. Gonna see if it's gonna pay off or not. Kectix, unfortunately, gonna go down first and foremost. Trades are coming through one after another, but no freeze left sitting by, which means you don't have the ability to really hit the re-engagement. So unfortunately, it's gonna fall apart from there. 50% already on the marker here, as still gonna have the freeze for this fight. And Sparky Bear will have the beat to be able to match it.
Yeah, Kectix also used the overclock in that fight, so this is only going to make the placement of this Blizzard for who I am that much more important, because you're gonna have to get Sparky Bear in it or somehow find kills quickly before that sound barrier comes out.
Yep. And already a fast engagement is going to catch onto a couple of bodies. Unfortunately, it's the one person who you didn't want to have caught on it. So Sparky Bear going to have to take the reset, which means, unfortunately, you kind of have to take a fight here right now. Unfortunately, you don't have the body. Sparky Bear is going to make their way back, but the flip comes online right here. If you can get that beat online to Fluffy Kitten in time, it could be impactful. The shout has been used. The beat comes online, doesn't catch on to Ordnance Circle, but Fluffy Kitten does get kept up for a short bit of time. Unfortunately, it's not going to be long enough to find the impact right there. Cooking Bacon, hanging around the support duo, doing everything they can to stall out at this point, and honestly doing as well as you could realistically hope. Pulse Bomb comes through. Unfortunately, nobody's to be found, and at this point, it is just the stall game. VA Mystic Coven coming through with some confidence, taking it 2-0 on Ilios, and I mean, you gotta say it, looking very strong out the gate.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I don't necessarily look at this as like, oh man, what an underdog story, but you know what I mean, just based on the records, VA Mystic really proving the doubters wrong. They look really good on these Winston comps, and that's going to be the question for this series going forward. Is this was a pure dive map, right? And that's kind of what we expected to see. Some semblance of it, you know, Ruins, obviously we saw the Junker Queen because you can't pull that out on Ruins specifically, but when we get to our next map, which is going to be King's Row. That's a full-on brawl, rush, just drag it out kind of fight map. And how do these bans continue to affect? And are these teams versatile enough to not just be a one-trick dive comp and have other tools in their chest to be able to pull out?
Yeah, that's what's going to be really interesting about this week's map, because the next 3 maps, you could argue, are very much kind of working around brawl style more than anything else. Yes, King's Row, you could run the dive. We have seen it throughout the last several months kind of become a factor. But when you're something like Runasapi, like New Junk City, traditionally, that's going to be more brawly like composition. So it's be a situation where you're not going to be able to lean on the Winston as easily. And of course, with the knowledge that we have now, the bans are in a situation where it's becoming a bit more clear of what you want to do in the situation. But Ray, I think you still have to be careful going into the second map, because like I said, it's likely to be some brawl style for these next 3 maps, and you don't want to ban something and then figure out after the fact of, oh, we really should have saved it for this map, or perhaps it would have been a more viable and important choice to our opponents.
Yeah, it's definitely going to depend. The only caveat I put in there is like Runasapi, definitely, I agree. A lot of rush, a lot of brawl, but there also has been a lot of hazard on that map as well. So you never know for sure when hazard's always in play, because hazard's like, it's dive, but it's not dive. So it can kind of work pretty well even on those brawly maps. So you put yourself in a situation where SCR Academy down 1-0, hoping if you're VA Mystic to try and get a win for yourself. King's Row, as we mentioned, will be the next map of choice. We'll be waiting for that ban phase to be starting shortly from these teams, but we do know that Ana and Genji cannot be banned by the teams who ban them. Like, technically, I think you can get the opposite teams banning those 2 again, but very unlikely.
Yeah, there's not really a point. Bans are usually about, I think 80-85% of the time are used in the way of physically making sure that an opponent can't play a certain character. In the rare opportunities, it's used as a protection ban. Say you want to run Hazard on this next map no matter what, well, just go ban Wrecking Ball, and there's no way they are able to ban the Hazard, because you're not able to ban back-to-back characters in the same role within a ban phase. So either way, gonna see how that's going to be used in the situation. It should be SCR's pick on what the first ban is going to be, of course. And I'm curious what you pick in the situation, knowing that you're probably not gonna have the exact same composition going over to our next map. I mean, it's possible. Let's be real. It's entirely possible if you wanted to run that Winston, Light Tracer, Sojourn style again. It is usable. Is it the best thing in the world? I'd argue not, but you just have to try to be smart with this ban, and maybe you do go down the route of protection instead and just try to be like, hey, we want to for sure run this tank or the support line, so let's do our best to protect it instead.
Yeah, interesting wrinkle in things as I'm looking at our producers chat. SCR Academy making quite some swaps. They got Rig, who was on DPS, swapping over to go to support. They are bringing in Apollo, and then they have Bacon going out. So that is quite the overhaul. Maybe this is what their normal roster's like, and maybe we get a whole different team, but we'll just have to keep that in mind as we head into map number 2.
Yeah, so kind of looking through the team sheet a little bit, the handy dandy notebook, so to speak. Apollo, very much generally a Widowmaker player, so could be something we see here. But as for Rig, typically seems to kind of go down that projectile DPS, but most played hero is Lucio, so we're gonna see how that matches up. It'd be really funny if they just went and banned the Lucio if you are going to this SVA Coven. But SRC Academy gonna have the first selection here, and we're gonna see whether or not this is gonna be a targeted ban or perhaps a protective ban. And I imagine it's gonna be a little targeted, and Junker Queen, I say that's a pretty understandable choice.
I think they were like, after how Ruins went, they go, maybe we don't want to go Junker Queen v Junker Queen. Maybe they do want to play Brawl, but not that style of Brawl. Maybe they want to go more of like the Orisa Ramatra. I'm not going to say Reinhardt, but Reinhardt falls into that same category. But they'd be more likely to be Orisa or Ramatra for these situations. Because Ramatra, I'm telling you, Ramatra's been rising in the stocks a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, no, 100%. Ramatra is still I won't even say, I will say still, actually, still a very viable tank in that manner. Not particularly the best, but it's a very reliable pick, where if you have a good Ramatra player, I mean, 100% you commit to that. But either way, gonna see what Coven wants to ban in this situation. I think going into the situation, you seem pretty comfortable running the Kiri Lucio style. You could keep that up, and it looks like they are indeed going to, with the fact that Juno is out. You can't run the Juno Ana, Juno Brig. You can technically run the Ana Brig, but I think in the situation, something along the lines of Kiri Lucio is probably still the preferred choice, honestly.
Yeah, that's definitely what you're going to see most likely is Ramatra and or Orisa with Kiri Lucio, and then the DPS are kind of up in the air. Just whatever you feel in the moment. May is definitely going to be on the possibility. Cassidy's, as we mentioned, Widows, just to look for open picks at the beginning on the attacking side. Maybe we get some defensive like Ashe kind of situations, but as we talked about once again, as you can see, King's Row is map number 2. And we're going to have to see how that goes. We're going to get you guys right into that action.
Yeah, of course, the forbidden area of King's Row, which there was the fun little mission that we had.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think you can access it anymore. I think a lot of some of the old like archive missions, especially, it was kind of released in a blog. I think it was earlier this month, but they don't exist anymore. Like, they physically could not exist unless they were remade from scratch. So just a fun little note. As gonna get into this one, gonna see who's starting on what side. We see the nice man right there, Reinhardt, running through, perhaps running the most traditional brawl comp you could imagine right there. We saw the May, we saw the Baptiste, the Lucio. Didn't see the 5th right there, but with it being a Soj, that gave you some high ground control. And I gotta be real. I know we're in the diamond tier, but I was imagining both teams are kind of sharing a brain cell in terms of what they want to run here today.
I mean, especially since we're in EU and we know how special Reinhardt is to this division, this region, it's not a surprise that we're seeing a team pull it out. I do prefer, in the world of Overwatch 2025, the Ramatra. I mean, essentially they're playing the same comps, except they just replacing the tank. I think the Ramatra's just better.
Yeah, I think going to the Ram should be a better pick, but of course you have the May to work off of. May defensively be an extremely strong tool, and right now we could be seeing a little something special here. I imagine they're going to speed across, jump on the high ground, and do a complete loop around the as some may call the Philly special right here. Looks like everyone is going to make the jump successfully, and I mean, right, I think they're going to do it. I think they're going for the whole enchilada here, the full special.
Not sure how I feel about this in brawl compositions like this. Like, you're going to have to get this point pretty much immediately, or you're just wasting a lot of time.
Yeah, but my counter theory is that it's just entertaining. It's not necessarily the right choice, but it's definitely the entertaining choice. And now they've just gone back the other way, and they're trying to look for separation. And unfortunately, now we're just back to a regular brawl. Nothing has changed. Pin's going to come through right now. It's going to catch over onto them. Unfortunately, Flufferkitten is in the worst spot you can be if you're Reinhardt going against a Ramatra, but still very much a 4v4 of a VA Mystic Coven. Slowly taking over the mark. Ornick is just, again, flipping over the map right now. Has found one. Needs to try to find a second if they want to be able to actually give their team a real measure to take this one back. With the trade still coming through, a tick is about to be online for them. Looking for a second. Needs to get the tick, by the way. Now, they're probably got to back up a bit and reset.
Yeah, especially with the Reinhardt being back, they're going to have to do exactly that. However, Archer's back so they can push again.
Yeah, both tanks getting pretty low right now. Got to use the Immortality Field just to make sure things are going right now. Second tick, all but confirmed at this point as Orna trying to find something. Apollo about to have that freeze. Who am I? Not too far behind right now, but you see protection being used for that right now. His bodies are have to eventually go on right there. Freeze going to be activated from Apollo, but eventually going to be able to get rid of one, but that one is more than enough to cause the rest of SCR Academy to simply retreat.
Yeah, I did caught you the Blizzard and your overclock if you're the side of SCR Academy. So big commit there as Mystic is going to have all 5 of their ultimates, and they should be able to just take this home with just the Blizzard.
Yeah, that would be the hope right now if you are VA Mystic right here, but going to use that right now. Shatter's coming around the corner right now. Pin going to find on to Faraday. Not what you're hoping for right now as the freeze was used. Shatter is online. You can see they're contemplating using. Unfortunately, hits an air ball. Gets absolutely diddly squat. But at the end of the day, that could be costing them big time right now. Wall going to be expended right now, as well as that Amp Matrix right now. Rub Scenario right now. Going to be able to make sure you stay alive right there. Apollo just sitting on the point to solve for as long as they possibly can. Unfortunately, there's a finite amount of time you're going to be able to survive and stall out this point. So overall, a relatively good defense for SCR. Unfortunately, a bit of a whiff there at the end when it came to the Shatter, and that will cost them dearly.
I don't know. I don't know if the whiffed Shatter really cost them. I think Mystic threw in 4 of their ultimates into that fight, and they're able to make it happen. So it was a very costly fight for them, but they're able to get the win and secure the point. And with how quickly SCR is getting themselves back together, they should be able to push this archway. Possibly it'd be a big deal, but it looks like they're content holding the bookstore corner.
Yep. It's a relatively strong place to be able to hold onto right now. Ult's coming around the corner. Apollo, unfortunately, not getting an opportunity to build up to that freeze once again. You're going to see the stun go through there. Unfortunately, not going to work out as the double Rhine. Unfortunately, that's something what you have to do in that situation. You're not able to get the pin back in time. You just have to kind of cancel it out and just take the stun. Unfortunately, this is going to result in Rig getting a little staggered out.
Yeah, and that was just a free fight when no ults committed. Kectix was still able to keep their overclocking. In the meantime, they've built that much closer to a window. So you're going to have that for the next fight, and maybe you get Blizzard depending on how long things go. So Sparky Bear's got to be ready with the sound barrier.
Yeah, it's going to be a situation where either going to beat aggressively or just going to go in with a freeze right now. And with that wall, it's going to create things in a very weird environment. The pin ends up knocking them away. Shatter comes online. It's going to catch onto one, but the B gets expended anyway, just to be safe right here. And without the tank right here, it's going to be a really hard one to pull back right now. But Fluffy Kitten does get down to 1 right now. Unfortunately, Kectix not really having a whole lot to work with right now. Is going to have to slide out, back out, and wait for the Reinhardt once more.
Yeah, pulling out both the overclock and the sound barrier, I think you'll take, you'll look at that as a big win for the side of SCR. We'll have dueling Blizzards for this next fight and dueling windows. So this will be interesting because you'll get basically a side-by-side comparison.
Yeah, essentially in this situation, of course, you have the Amp Matrix in that freeze, getting ready to match in the situation. But I think the most important thing, honestly, is the fact that we're working up closer to that Shatter and that beat between Fluffy Kitten and Verity, respectively, right now, as they're waiting for this wall. Perhaps trying to even cut off Sombra and at the very least force away that shield to make her Shatter a heck of a lot easier. But another wonky rotation being invested in this situation up to the high ground. See a couple bodies sitting up on the high ground as well. Can't really reach them in the situations. The freeze is going to be used. 2 members going to be caught on right there. Need to be tried to kept up. Unfortunately, looks like neither are going to be able to survive. And unfortunately, now you just got to try to stagger on this point little by little and try to take something back, or going to make it a little bit easier to do so. Unfortunately, the numbers game will play its factor. Sparky Bear will eventually get a touch, but the question is if it's going to matter or not. I'm going to say no.
I think at this point you just give it up and live to fight another day. You got the Blizzard out of Mystic, so you can re-engage with a Blizzard of your own. It's just going to be about positioning because the Lucio is still behind, not with the team. This is dangerous territory. See, look, Sparky Bear's all the way back here.
Yeah, but they don't know yet is the thing, so they're going to hit him with that soft boot. The beat has been used, though, so not the place you want to be. Will be able to get out successfully, but needs to kind of help in caring for the Reinhardt. Shatter comes through. Unfortunately, the shield was close to breaking, but not quite yet. It's going to go the other way. It's going to catch on to 4 members, but we need to see the response right now. Everybody's still standing right now as the freeze going to be invested. Unfortunately, we saw both sports walk right into that one. At the end of the day, who am I? While they're doing a really good job, the numbers game is going to start coming back one after another as Kectix is going to be able to find one. Ryan making the way back, and for the time being, SG Academy got at the back once again.
Yeah, with the Rhine back, they're going to be facing so many ultimates. We need this overclock from Oracle to go nutso.
Yeah, and we already see Kectix going to go down here. Hornet Circle has been a really good job already today right now as who am I? Just going to be stalling out a little bit here. No reason to stagger that out. Ult is already ready to go. But now this is where the problem comes through. You have 1 beat versus 3 ultimates, which the beat is strong, but is it going to beat out 3 other ultimates?
To me, that was also a big mistake. I feel like you had that fight won with just the window. You did not need that overclock commit. They used it, and now they have less tools to work with. There's the Blizzard already.
Yeah, Blizzard used very aggressively here with the window on top of that. Fluffy has been taken down. The freeze onto Sparky Bear, who's going to have to simply try this beat here shortly. Right now is in a bit of a rough area right now. Doesn't even manage to get out, so Orn's just going to have to try to go die on this point. Unfortunately, nobody's going to get back in time. You can't switch to the carry in time to go either, so unfortunately... again, we're talking about the aggression of VA Mystic Coven throughout the entirety of this day so far. They brought it there. They just went full sail. They don't give them the opportunity to properly respond back, and that is part of what makes a good team great.
Yeah, and once again, I think the other big part that you look at, especially with the time bank, is being able to finish with time on the clock. This map's been a lot closer. So the fact that no matter what, no matter how this goes for the side of SCR Academy on their attack, you're going to get another opportunity if you're VA Mystic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. But the comp's not really going to change up at all here. Again, both teams very content to kind of run the mirror for the time being. The one comment I guess I might have is I'm surprised we had the swap off of the Ramacher earlier on. It wasn't like finding the most success, but it wasn't doing nothing. It was kind of at that weird middle, but you could argue the Rhine was perhaps finding a bit more success, but honestly, it's a question of whether or not we're to see any adaptations as the rest of this map goes along. I would personally say probably not, unless it's a desperation situation. But Ray, we got to see the response from SCR Academy right now. Haven't seen the strongest of offense and aggression from them yet. So if we're going to see it, it's got to be right here.
I agree. It's going to be very tough if you lose this map and go down 2-0. I feel like ever since we hit Overwatch 2, we don't see as many reverse sweeps as we used to. They're just harder to come by. It feels like this format hasn't been as conducive to that.
Yeah, speaking of formula, perfect formula to kind of wall off Fluffy Kitten there. Kind of put them between a rock and a cold place, so to speak, as, I mean, it essentially wasn't even a fight. So, I mean, again, it's the aggression we're seeing from VA Mystic. It's exactly what you want to see every single time.
As Mystic's trying to make this a nice 2-0 and hopefully make this a quick run as we see. Fluffy Kitten trying to put so much pressure, but is already 70 health, has to completely back out.
Yeah, and has to go for that pin there to try to find one body. Will find one, so honestly, at that point, that's where everyone else needs to back out, reset. You're probably not going to find anything else. And now, that means the Rhine trade right there, they should get back their Rhine to the point, like, at least a few seconds faster.
If you take your Lucio and go get your Reinhardt, it should pretty much be even if they did that smartly. Yeah, it looks like they're just going to back out and forbade the space. They might give up a tick, not even.
Yeah, they're going to try to go in. The pin is going to find very expertly. That's what you want to try to find right there. Fluffy Kitten going to expend a lot of that shield to be able to stay alive. The trade's not coming through at all because VA Mystic has just sealed that deal on that fight. It was a nice attempt there from SCR Academy trying to take advantage of everything. But again, Mystic just literally just not even holding back. They saw the opportunity to pin in, and they just went for it.
Well, they're not even like Hectix was just going on a flank through the side room here, went behind them and just killed two. Like, you got to be very wary about that if you're the side of SCR Academy. You got to have eyes in the back of your head, keep your heads on a swivel, and find those flankers.
This is going to be cooking a little bit because they're going to notice in time. The Shatter, unfortunately, is not a long-range device, as it's going to come down to the freeze to try to finish things off. Quite a few bodies hanging around in there. Ends up being a 2 ultimate fight, and with the fact that the Shatter and the freeze were used, and
the overclock.
I'm tempted to believe they're that Shatter might not have been calmed properly, if I were to take a guess.
I don't know, man. I'm just like, you really expected that to hit people like that? That was way. I'm a Reinhardt player. I'm like, I kind of know my distance on Shatter. I don't know how you didn't expect that one, but they still have their defensive support ultimates to be able to use here. But this is a lot for SCR.
Yeah, I saw both those windows come up at pretty much the exact same time. Pain going to come through. It's going to put everyone in a bit of a rough situation. Sparky Bear does manage to get Shaddy, though, so it's going to at least do something. But unfortunately, a minute left. You have a lot of ultimates right here, and you need to win this fight. But the question is, how much you're willing to sacrifice, or how much are you going to have to sacrifice to try to win this fight?
I say 2 ults. You use Blizzard and or Overclock. You use one of those first, force out the sound barrier, and then follow in with the other.
Well, unfortunately, not a whole lot of success there quite yet. Beat has been expended to kind of keep everybody alive. Freeze, though, does not keep the bodies going right there, so eventually it will come through, but yeah, I mean, the silver lining is you had to win this fight. This wasn't even an option, but using all 4 ultimates to have to do it when I think you could have done it in 2, maybe 3 max, it's going to make this choke fight potentially very difficult.
Yeah, because now Mystic had the ability, because they got killed so early on in that point capping, that they're all regrouped and they will be able to take the fights at this archway, which is going to give them a very good defensible position. It's hard to push through as an attacking team, and it can waste a lot of time.
Yeah, Sombra, though, has already gone down. The trade's coming through, but again, the spawn's going to be way closer for SCR Academy at this point. It might just be about taking the reset and giving up this archway, unfortunately. And it's unfortunate having the archway that quickly, but unfortunately, you have to do it just to be able to kind of get yourself set up for the following corner.
Yeah, I agree. Losing your Reinhardt early in that fight was no bueno at all. In the meantime, though, SR Academy has built up to a window, and they're getting close to a blizzard, but Mystic's going to have the opportunity with 3 ults currently online to get very aggressive and hopefully start draining some time off of this clock. 2 minutes remain to get the second point for SCR Academy.
Yeah, 100%. Of course, Shatter is ready to go. It is a bit of a risky one to go for it here. It's going to go down, but that's going to be another excellent block there from Fluffy Kitten. You see a freeze being used, and that is not the place you want to be if you are a Reinhardt. It's thrown the other way, though. They managed to find one. The freeze is going to go on to both supports on the other side of things right now. Faraday super low. Unfortunately, nobody there to be able to follow up on it, so exchange going to go over to Who Am I at that point right there as, again, SCR got to take a reset.
Yeah, and that was a Blizzard and Shatter exchange for a Blizzard, so Mystic's going to take that every day till Sunday. SCR Academy's going to have to reset, and they're going to have a lot coming online for them as well, but Cactus has this overclock.
Yeah, Sparky already sitting super low right now. Cactus getting rid of a bunch of people in terms of getting them super low, but unfortunately, it's only going to get the 1-for-1 trade, which again, it is the advantage of SCR Academy as they are closer, but the wall has been used, forcing everything into a pretty of an awkward scenario. But for Sunbird, I think their biggest concern was to try to get out of here. Unfortunately, that's not quite going to happen right now, as it's going to be a stall on the point. Everyone's simply going to die on it, and with this being the case, should be able to reconvene for one more fight.
I think given they use bow, shatter, and window there, you're okay with that because you're going to get at least one more fight before they get this across the line. They will have a sound barrier and an overclock to re-engage with, but Mystics has shown that their aggression can really pay off. So let's see what they do with this window.
Yeah, I imagine it might be used a bit aggressively here, as we are seeing very apparent off the gate. Wall going to be used right now as Sunbird coming up on a shatter. It could be a game-ending shatter. It's going to catch on to at least one. Got to find the pin on the Reinhardt. Getting super low as things are being traded out. Order Circle, though, is going to find at least one. Needs to try to find a second right now as Body's still very much hanging around. Pectix has been an absolute madman the entire of this game so far, but it could be the numbers game eventually folding out right here. Body's trying to stay on. Unfortunately, nobody bulky is sitting around anymore, and it's all about just dying on the point. Minute and a half going to be on the table for SCR Academy. Need to finish this if they want to have the possibility of tying up the series, but unfortunately they're starting down the window of a potentially very aggressive freeze.
Yeah, they had to finish this map, but it really doesn't matter because only 23 seconds were finished on the clock for Mystics. All I got to do doesn't matter whether you have 1 second, 0, 30 seconds. They just got to get it done. As they're going to have to play a little bit patient. Apollo is close to being able to match this freeze, however.
Yeah, gonna get walled off. Freeze has been hit right there. Immortality Field is hanging around, but unfortunately it's not gonna do a whole lot to stem the bleeding. Gonna see if we get anybody out. Order Circle, the last person remaining. Unfortunately, it's gonna be a full wipe here, so Paulo gonna have that freeze back as you noted. So for Mystic Coven, it might be as simple as taking a super aggro fight here and then just building up the other ultimates for one more fight.
Yeah, I agree. I'd be doing that. Get hyper aggressive, try and force out both this window and Blizzard and maybe even a shatter, and then build your ults and play for the final fight.
Yeah, oddly defensive right now as the freeze did come online, and it looks like we will see one technically caught in it within Shoddy right there, as eventually it's going to fall apart. We'll see bodies falling on the cart, but a couple of staggers potentially on the board right now as the Maze going to go and get a nice freeze over onto the card. Not gonna be able to actually fully freeze on top of it, but it's gonna be 3 to 4 on the ultimates, 4 to 4 essentially. So big ol' fight, gonna decide it all.
Yeah, very smart from the side of SCR. We had seen where sometimes they ult dump and they were smart. They held onto their ult, so now they have a chance to get this across the finish line.
Yep, Slam's coming online. It's going to interrupt the Ever Slam right now. Cactus is coming online. 2K, and who am I here to seal the deal on the map? It is just Sparky Bear holding on. Unfortunately, it's not going to pay off. Every ultimate got used in that moment. Unfortunately, SCR Academy going to fall just short of the finish line, so VA Mystic Coven going to take us to match point already. I mean, considerably way closer than we saw within the first map, but the extra bit of aggression from VA Mystic Coven is doing them absolute wonders.
Yeah, I think that's been the key difference. Like, I think in certain situations, both teams have had a tendency sometimes to ult dump and use more than they need or should, but time and time again, Mystics Coven have been more aggressive, more like, let's go out there and make the first play. Let's not wait for them to make the play, and it's been paying off for them and dividends, and it's the big reason why they find themselves on match point and on the verge of getting their first win on the season.
Yeah, they're getting very dangerously close to doing so, and obviously, SCR, you never want to be the team that loses to the team that hasn't taken a win yet. That's never the greatest feeling in the world, even if it's only an 0-2 situation. But regardless, SCR Academy still has an opportunity to bounce back, to try to commit a reverse sweep. It's going to come down to a lot of careful coordination, and honestly, I think very precise bans here. I know what I would ban going to the next thing, but that's something we'll talk about here in a bit, right? Because going to take it to our halftime break here. So, ladies and gentlemen, please stick around. We're going to see if VA Mystic are going to make this a quick night, or maybe SCR Academy has enough in the tank to make their first sweep happen. It's going to find out right after this break. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once more. Got ourselves a matchup here in the EU Diamond Division. And going through that first map was looking to be a bit of a back and forth affair. Clearly saw an advantage within VA Mystic Coven and SCR Academy, managing to fight back on King's Row. Unfortunately, it just wasn't quite enough. So now they find themselves in match point territory, have to commit to the reverse sweep. And you and I both know from watching over all of these years, it's a very, very difficult thing to accomplish.
Couldn't agree with you more. As our final, what could be our final battlefield on this series is going to be Runasapi. So we're gonna have to figure out what bans we expect him. We were kind of talking about this during the break as SCR Academy is now on the clock. You think there's an obvious ban on the table for them?
Dude, Cactus has been running the lobby the past map and a half. If you do not get rid of Sojourn, I think any other choice is bad. The only other thing I might say isn't bad would be like Lucio, because they've also been killing it on Lucio carry, and you could probably run down the Juno brick in that situation, but I feel like it has to be Sojourn in this situation, because if you want to shut down the person who I think has been doing the most overall, I think it's Cactus, and I think shutting them down is your best choice towards finding success. Anything else, and I have many questions.
I agree for sure. There it is, Sojourn ban coming through. Sorry, Cactus, you're gonna have to play something else. Now, Mystics are on the clock. Big question is, do you look to ban a support or a tank? You know, I don't know. It's tough.
I don't know if there's anything meaningful you could get rid of. You like running Lucio Curie. You're not going to ban out of Brig or anything. And it looks like it's going to be Wrecking Ball, which, I mean, so the only thing I could perhaps state here is, I mean, there are definitely better options, let's be completely fair here. But Ball's also a really good stall character, a character that can get back into fights very quickly. So I guess you're getting rid of a desperation pick, which isn't the worst thing in the world if you manage to take advantage, but I feel like there are probably better options in here. But maybe it's a situation where, in this situation where as VA, you want to keep your options completely open, which, to be fair, I could understand that point of view.
I don't know, man. To me, this just is confusion with the Wrecking. I mean, we were literally on Ilios, which is a great map to play Wrecking Ball, and we didn't see it. So I'm like, You expect us to come into Runasapi and see it now? I don't know. It just very, very strange. We did see a substitute coming in for the side of SCR Academy, getting a support sub. So we're going to see how that does and see if they can use this to try and find some sort of way back in the series.
Yeah, Aegis coming in for that. And Aegis, you saw the Baptiste icon. It's very likely going to be the selected pick. And with the fact that Sojourn is out, I don't think it changes a whole lot in terms of what the comps are probably going to be. But if you're bringing in a Bat player and you're keeping in your, I believe you're keeping in your Lucio player, I think it's a situation where you're essentially going to try to, you're going to try to run it down once more with like the Bat Lucio style. Maybe you keep.
I've actually never seen this before.
I haven't. I imagine this is this in one of the spawn rooms, or is this like in like the back right corner? Because it looks like a spawn room thing for some reason. I don't know. We'll find out. It is a spawn room thing. I don't know. I don't know where this is. We need to take the screenshot now and use this for guess that map. Like,
right?
Is this?
Well, no, I think it's pretty obvious it's Runasapi just because there's a theme of those across the entire map.
It's right before the spawn. Dang. Got me on that one.
Yeah, I'll admit that is not a room I frequent at all on this map, so no surprises there. As we do see SCR Academy pulling up on the Winston comp. Going against this Junker Queen, I'm not feeling too good about it.
Yeah, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but I mean, I guess thing you could say, Winston can be very strong into a Genji, and especially with a Genji, if they find a target exposed, it's very diveable, but it's something you have to get it happen in this situation right here. So they're already going to go in deep. Fluffy Kitten not going to get any care, and that fight is just down the drain. Unfortunately, A just not able to do a whole lot in that situation as first fight. I mean, just over in a blink of an eye.
It's just too much. Your Suzu for Shoddy can be a great tool for when the initial dive comes in from SCR, and then you have the Carnage, you have the Flashbang, you have so much to be able to just absolutely overwhelm the Winstons. We already see Fluffy Kitty getting off that and matching the Junker Queen.
Yeah, 100%. And now, I like the match at this point. To be fair, I also like the fact that they went over to Torb right away. But of course, Kectix responds in a different way as well, going over to that Cassidy. So, either way, we'll see what the case is going to be right now. I'm going to see if they can run it down in this situation. You don't want to leave anything exposed because they're going to be more than happy to do what they're doing right now and just run down the back line, try to find something. And Rig, unfortunately, got to go down first and foremost, and the bodies might begin to fall over. They 100% will, and with 46 meters, that number is easily going to go up into the 60s, the 70s, as that checkpoint's going to get unlocked.
Yeah, this was the thing I was worried about with the Sojourn ban, was I was almost certain that it was going to precipitate a Cassidy, especially the fact that we were likely going to see Junker Queen. Do you prefer a Sojourn in these situations? Yes, but it's not a big drop-off to go from Sojourn to Cassidy.
Yeah, it's not the biggest drop-off in the world. They definitely have different impacts in terms of what they especially do, but now we're entering a territory where this is very much becoming a must-win fight, and that's never something I want to say 2 minutes into a map, by the way, but unfortunately, you lose Fluffy Kitten, you're falling apart at the seams, Who Am I is still shutting people down, and now you're going to get to the 100-meter mark, and oh boy, they're making more swaps. This is getting desperate already.
Yeah, see, this is the funny thing. I would agree with you on almost every single map, but like when it comes to Runasapi, I've just seen so many bad situations get turned around. It's one of the few maps, I've talked about this with Bullskunk, one of our other casters, where Runasapi just feels different.
Yeah, but already going a different way. Shoddy does get taken care of right now. Rough situation. A good knife placement could end things right here. Gonna eventually go down with the Carnage. Already sitting at 130. Continuing rush going to be used right here. Aegis going to be taking out bodies, trying to go out and touch the point. Apollo is going to get there in time right now. Going to see them come out, getting another touch, but it is becoming desperation. A blade coming online, getting rid of Rig. Flood the Kitten, the last body standing as Aegis comes out for a little bit. Needs to find these shots and clean things up. But at the end of the day, could just be a victory beat, as all it is just bodies trying to just go onto the cart, make something happen. And Ray, everything in consideration, Beat's going to be traded out. Apollo has a blade ready to go, though. Needs to try to find some receipts right now. Hacking and slashing away, going to get deleted. Lucio onto the cart. They're going to go for retouches, barely in time. but it's looking messier and messier as things go along right now. Winston not in the best of situations right now, going to clear things out. It's just the May to stall things out. 20-player kill streak. And Ray, unfortunately, it's all just staggers at this point. Just Lucia going down. That's me finishing with less than 4 minutes on the clock, and that, oh boy, is a dominant way to finish out a series.
Yikes, that is not what I saw for this match after the way Kings Row went. And it even talked that they made the right ban. They banned the Soldier, and it just didn't matter. The Cassidy stun still came in through. And that was the thing. You know, Sojourn has a lot of pick potential. That's like the thing. Hit those railguns, find those kills. But in a consistent, you know, mid-fight, fight-to-fight, Cassidy can output more damage consistently. And with that flashbang going against, you know, a Winston at first and another Junker Queen, it was giving them a lot of advantage and cadence to not allow Fluffy Kitten to play with the tempo they wanted to play with.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know. It's just an unfortunate situation for a team that has clearly proven they can take a win and perform well in the past, especially in the not-so-distant past. We're talking like a week ago, they were able to kind of take a nice win. But now we're looking here, and for VA Mystic Coven, this is potentially a big turnaround for them. It's a dominant win, 3-0 win. This gives them the very real possibility of potentially making it to that mid-season tournament. Obviously, have to wait for the brackets to, more so the leaderboards to officially update, but this will even out their map differential with this one win right here. So if they go in next week, get themselves a good win in 3-0 on fashion, I think there's a genuine case for them to make their way into the top 4 for that mid-season. But for SCR, now it's a question mark.
Yeah, I agree. That was shocking. It makes what you think about this EU Diamond division just flipped upside down completely. It makes you rethink everything. So with that, we are going to take a quick break, and we will be getting you guys an interview with someone from the winning team. It looks like it's going to be Kectix, so we'll be right back with that interview.
Lots of love. Got lots of love. Lots of love. Love. Got 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 lots of love. Love.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once more. We just finished up with a matchup here in the EU Diamond Division. And while it looked pretty close on the onset, as things kept getting further and further into the series, Ray, it quickly became a bloodbath, managing to finish Runosapi in less than 4 minutes. And I don't mean less than 4 minutes on the clock. I mean, it took them less than 4 minutes to push it all the way. Here to join us for this winner's interview, we have Cactus joining us from the side of VA Mystic Coven. And first and foremost, I mean, congratulations on a big win and the first win of the season as well.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. So, as I already stated, that's that first win of the season. It definitely has to feel good. So, I mean, what's kind of been the response of maybe yourself or your team after kind of starting out in that 0-2? What was kind of the mindset going into today off of that?
Yeah, we really had to prove ourselves. We were a bit down especially after the second loss, but we kept ourselves our mental composure throughout scrims and practice. So yeah, we were gonna give it our best today.
Yeah, so for me, I'm just gonna give you a little behind the scenes action. We're in the break, and just based on how well you were doing, Hunter over here goes, I swear if they don't ban Sojourn on this third map, I'm gonna lose it. Like, you were absolutely killed them. But in my head, I was thinking, dude, they just banned Junker Queen on the last map. Cassidy goes great with that, and you absolutely ran the lobby on Cassidy. I mean, how did that feel to have such a dominant performance on both those heroes?
Oh, it felt really good. I think overall, I have to thank my other backline as well, like Shadi on Kiriko and Varady on Lucio, like really peeling well for me. Like, yeah, I'm not very confident in my mechanics, but with them by my side, I can do a lot.
Awesome. And, looking forward to next week and possibly the midseason if you guys can end up making it. Perks will be introduced into the regular season next week. How have you been feeling playing, scrimming with them, and how do you think that will shake things up in this Diamond division?
Ooh, yeah, I think that's most of the reason why I've been picking up Cass a bit lately. I played mostly Soch beforehand, and also with the hero bans coming up, I had to look into a backup pick, and with the new perks, Cassidy is absolutely unkillable.
Yeah. I mean,
one more thing is also probably the Sojourn, or not the Sojourn, the Echo. What do you call it? The stickies are like also bonkers.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's. I'm trying to remember specifically what it is, but it had to be with like it was like. I'll remember it specifically. I'm not required by law to know the perks yet. I have like 2 or 3 days left. I have time.
Exactly.
Yeah, obviously big win here today, and obviously looking into next week with that matchup that will very very much will decide whether or not you can make it into the midseason. Y'all are going up against Kira, which is fortunately the only team that still is undefeated right now. But I mean just looking into that matchup, I mean what's the headspace like going into that match?
Ooh, yeah, it's gonna be real rough. I think we're gonna struggle quite a bit. We were up until this match, like you said, we were 0-2. I think our mental has gotten a huge boost from today, and I hope we can carry that on into that match and let that allow us to take the upper hand there as well.
Yeah, completely agree in that sense, and obviously want to let you be able to go and celebrate, but before we let you go, I mean, if there's anything you just want to say, anything or anybody you want to shout out, we are gonna open up the floor to you, so feel free to take it away.
All right, yeah, I want to shout out Wolf, our coach, for like taking care of us throughout the whole thing. Especially our mental states have been back and forth, but I think we're in a really good spot now. And also my old friend, the Weevil, who has been on the sidelines for a bit to help us with that as well.
There you go. Absolutely love to see it. So once more, congratulations on a big win here, and obviously best of luck with next week's matchup and the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, take care now. Hey, there you have it, Ray. Straightforward. Love to see it. I tell Specs all the time, EU interviews they're either the most straightforward thing ever or the most bonkers thing I've ever heard in my life, and there's never particularly an in between.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I did an interview last night. It's like for NA, it's totally different. It's like NA, you can just get a whole hodgepodge of things. I've had times where you get the crazy energetic, yeah, we just won, or you get like the really quiet, like, that was awesome. Or sometimes you get the people who, I don't know, it's crazy. But yeah, EU, I agree. It's just very straightforward. You either get craziness or you just get very just robotic, like going from question to question, just straightforward.
I mean, yeah, 100%. But either way, ends up being another quick one here today. Very unfortunate in some regards, but I think also kind of looking at the long term of things, having a team kind of bounce up like a team like VA Mister kind of has today. I mean, that's got to give them a lot of confidence, and as a viewer, it's got to make you think you want to watch this team perform at the mid-season and be able to do something amazing. It's going to be a question of time whether or not that's going to be the case, because unfortunately, Ray, we're not here doing the 24/7 CGL marathon. We're going to have to wait a little while longer to see if that's going to be the case or not. So unfortunately, at least for EU, that's it for today. But I know we have a match set up for tonight, and if I am not mistaken, looking at the handy dandy track here, Ray, I believe we have Shield Bill Nation versus EIG Reapers happening tonight at 8 p.m. EST.
That is correct. So make sure to tune in tonight for that. But with that, that's going to be it for us. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Huge shout outs to our producer and observers. So we had Echo, and then we had Orange and Owen. You guys, we couldn't do what we do without you guys, and we appreciate you. But with that, we'll see you guys for the next broadcast, NA 8 Eastern. We'll see you then.